Diabetes is commonly called blood sugar. There are two types of diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is generally found in children and is insulin dependent diabetes. Most adults have type 2 diabetes, which means that the onset of diabetes is as a youth or as an adult. These patients may present with different symptoms, which can be in the form of unexplained weight loss, frequency of infections increases, increased thirst, increased urination, or sometimes these patients can present as a medical emergency called diabetic ketoacidosis, wherein the harmful acids are formed in the blood, and these present as a medical emergency. At times we pick up patients who are asymptomatic, meaning that they come for routine tests or they come for a surgery, and when we do the blood sugar we find that they are diabetic. So these are the varied presentations as far as diabetes is concerned. So what is the test that you need if you need to find out if you are diabetic or not? So generally there can be two tests which are ordered. One is called as a glucose tolerance test, wherein you are given 75 grams of glucose and a fasting and a 2 hours sugar sample is tested to find out if you have diabetes or not. The other test gives us an average of the sugars for the last 3 months and is called glycosylated hemoglobin or an HbA1c, which is a test not only to diagnose diabetes, but this is a test which your doctor will routinely do every 3 months to find out if you are well controlled or uncontrolled as far as diabetes is concerned. If a patient of diabetes comes to me, my prescription not only includes medicines, but there is an equally important role of diet control and exercise. So what I am looking at is not the sugar content of your diet, but the carbohydrate content of your diet. So if somebody is consuming a lot of starchy food, maida-based foods, that is as harmful as consuming sugar is. So we talk of the glycemic index of food items, meaning we are not talking of restricting you on any sugary foods, but we are talking of portion control as far as food items are concerned. So a diabetic patient can enjoy a mango slice or can enjoy a piece of cake once in a while, but at the same time he has to look at the overall carbohydrate content of his diet. At the same time, it is very, very important to regulate your lifestyle in terms of smoking and alcohol, and exercise regularly, at least 45 minutes to 1 hour, minimum 5 out of 7 days in a week. The more you exercise and the more you regulate your diet, the lesser your requirement of sugar medicines will be. So when we talk of the treatment of diabetes, there are two classes of medicines which are prescribed in a type 2 diabetic or an adult patient. One is the oral anti-diabetic drugs and the second is the insulin group. Oral anti-diabetic drugs generally work by releasing insulin from the pancreas. So what we need to understand is that the oral anti-diabetic drugs may start to fail after a certain duration of diabetes. So if you understand that you've deposited 100 rupees in a bank account and every year if you're withdrawing 10 to 15 rupees from the bank account, ultimately a situation will come where your bank account runs dry. So the similar situation happens with oral anti-diabetic drugs, that each year they keep releasing insulin from the pancreas and ultimately the drugs stop working. There are a whole lot of new medicines for diabetes, new tablets for diabetes, and some of these work by making you pass more sugar through the urine. When such medicines are prescribed to you, the doctor will caution you against dehydration and also caution you against urine infections, because if the urine contains excess sugar, then it makes you also prone to having more urine infections. So these are wonderful new drugs, but they have to be used cautiously. There are groups of drugs which are in between the anti-diabetic drugs and the insulins. Some of these are injections. So what they do is they increase the sensitivity of the tissues to take up blood sugar, meaning that they are not insulins but they are similar compounds which work through the stomach and the intestine, and they improve our insulin sensitivity, and at the same time they give a feeling of fullness, meaning that even if you've eaten a small amount of food, you actually feel full and you don't want to eat anymore. So these are good drugs for especially the obese population because they also help you to lose weight. At the same time, these drugs can also cause a feeling of bloating and nausea and have to be taken under medical supervision. The last group of drugs is insulins. The important fact is that insulin has become very convenient these days. Earlier, patients had to have a glass syringe or a plastic syringe and load the insulin from a vial, and it was very, very cumbersome to take insulin. Now it is so convenient that you can carry an insulin pen in your pocket, take it to office and inject it at your convenience before a meal. So there are short-acting insulins and there are long-acting insulins. So based on your blood sugar levels, your doctor will accordingly prescribe you maybe a 1 injection a day to a maximum of 4 injections a day based on how your sugar profile is. So it is important that if we want to save our kidneys, our eyesight, our heart, these are all organs which are dependent on your day-to-day sugar. They are not totally dependent on only your fasting and postprandial levels. It is overall how your sugar control is that is going to decide the safety as to how long you are safe from a nephropathy or a neuropathy or a retinopathy, which is the organ involvement in diabetes. At the same time, we need to understand that diabetic people are 20 times more likely to have a heart problem compared to a non-diabetic patient. So they have to have their cholesterols under control, they have to have their blood pressures under control so that the overall risk to the heart increases. So managing diabetes is not a standardized treatment for each and everyone in the population to be prescribed the same group of drugs or the same doses of drugs. They have to be individualized therapy based on what you are, what your body weight is, what your work and your lifestyle is, and what your target in terms of achieving HbA1c is. Going into hypoglycemia or a low sugar is as dangerous as going into a hyperglycemia or a high sugar. At the same time, you have to be taking precautions in terms of looking at your feet, regularly checking them that you are not getting any blisters or any infection in your feet, to prevent complications like diabetic foot, which fortunately in our country with now increasing awareness is going down, and the number of amputations in diabetics that we are doing has drastically reduced with more awareness in the population. You have to be aware about adult immunization, and it is important that you immunize on time. So if you maintain a healthy lifestyle and you along with your doctor as a partnership are careful in terms of controlling your blood sugars, I'm pretty sure you can lead a very healthy and long life. Thank you.